Hi, this is David Healey with LibraWave. In this video, I'd like to introduce you to LibraWave's instrument player plugin, Rhapsody. Rhapsody runs as an AU plugin, a VST3 plugin, and as a standalone application, which is how I'm running it now. So in this quick overview, I'm just going to show you around the interface and demo a few of the instruments for you. So when you first load Rhapsody, this is the screen you'll see. It's a preset browser. So on the left-hand side in the library column, we have the instruments that we've installed. And through the various columns, we can select first the bank, then the category, and then a preset to load. Some of the libraries have a lot of presets, and some of them just have one. And of course, once you've loaded the library, you can create your own presets as well. So below the library column, we have a plus button. We can click this to install new libraries. We have an edit button. We can click this to relocate the samples to a new location, so if you're moving them from one drive to another, for example. And clicking the trash icon allows us to uninstall a library. So let's load up one of these libraries. We'll start with Dulcius. So Dulcius is a dulcimer library, and let's have a listen to how it sounds. So as you can see, the interface is quite simple. We have a velocity table where we can edit the velocity curve of the instrument. So if we right click and drag the mouse up and down, we can change the curve. We can add additional nodes by clicking and dragging. And we can right click between those to edit the curve just between those two nodes. And we can delete nodes by right clicking on them. We've got an AHDSR envelope, and we can also control the attack curve as well. It's just a standard volume envelope. We have an articulation list, so we can click on these to change the articulation. We can also use key switches, and the key switch for each articulation is listed alongside the articulation name. So we can see the first one is C0, then C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, and F sharp. Key switches are always shown as red on the keyboard, and if there are any special key switches, they'll show up as other colours. So for example, with Dulcius, we have this one, which is a blue key, and all that does is repeat the last note played. So if I play a note, and then play C1, it'll repeat that note. This is great for doing tremolos. Over at the right hand side, we have a dynamic section, and below that we have a mallet section. All Rhapsody libraries share some interface elements in common, but where they need different elements for the unique characteristics of the particular instrument, those parts of the interface will be different. So with Dulcius being a dulcimer library, we have this mallet section, which wouldn't be included on, say, a flute library or a harp library. Okay, before we move on to the next instrument, let's have a look at the settings page. So one thing you'll probably want to adjust straight away is the UI zoom factor. You'll change this depending on the size of your screen. So I have it at 125%, and this is a 1080p screen. Change it to something smaller. If I was on a larger screen, I might set it to 150 or 200, or if I'm on a really large screen, maybe 400. So there are a bunch of other settings you can explore. We've got audio settings. We also have MIDI input settings, so we can choose the channel and the MIDI input device. And we have automation settings, so we can assign CCs to various controls. So let me show you how you do that. So you just right click on a control, and you can either select Learn MIDI CC and then move a MIDI controller, or you can assign it from the list. So we could assign CC50, and now this is controlled by CC50, and we can click here to remove it if we want to, and we can assign a different one. So we'll do MIDI Learn this time. So I'll click MIDI Learn, and then I'll move my expression pedal. So now this is assigned to CC11. Okay, let's load another instrument. We go up here to the preset name, click that, and it will take us back to the preset browser. So before we load Emerald Flute, let me just show you these controls here. We can see that we can add, edit or remove banks, categories and presets. So to add a new preset, you click the plus button here to save an existing preset. So if we wanted to save over the default preset, we could click Save Preset. Okay, let's load Emerald Flute. So Emerald Flute is an Irish flute library, and let's have a listen to how it sounds. As you can see, the interface of Emerald Flute is very similar to Dulcius. We have the velocity table, the AHDSR, the articulation list, and a dynamic section. But instead of the mallet control, we now have a vibrato section where we can control the speed and intensity of the vibrato. One other interesting part of the articulation list is over here at the right hand side. We have these sliders, and these allow you to control the relative volume between the different articulations. So if I play the staccato, for example, and then the staccatissimo, we can adjust these so we can bring the staccato volume down slightly. So you can hear that we can adjust those volume levels. So when I build libraries, I try to make the articulations roughly match each other in volume. But obviously when you're creating a performance and you're playing at different velocities, you're adjusting the expression, you're adjusting the volume, and you're adjusting the dynamics control. There's going to be variations in that volume balance between the different articulations, which is impossible for me to predict and get perfect for every scenario. So these controls give you that little bit of extra control just to tweak the volumes of the individual articulations to suit your particular piece of music. Another nice feature with the articulations is the ADSR settings. So each of these settings is individual to the particular articulation that you've selected. So you're not stuck with one ADSR curve for all of your articulations, which is great because you rarely want the same curve for short articulations as you do for long articulations. And ornaments like the crayons, for example, you'd probably again want a different curve to what you're using for the other articulations. So you'll notice when I select the performance articulation, the AHDSR is disabled. That's because the performance articulation is kind of a special articulation in that it responds to your playing. So as you're playing notes, the instrument is calculating release times and attack times and doing legato transitions and things like that. So for this reason, the AHDSR isn't used by the performance articulation. Okay, and let's go to one more instrument. We'll have a listen to Michaela's harp. This is an older library that I originally built in Contact and then later as a VST plugin, and now it's housed in Rhapsody. So the samples have been remastered for the Rhapsody version. Obviously the interface is different, and there's a few other little tweaks here and there that are improvements over the previous versions. So let's have a listen to this. So with Michaela's harp on the interface, you'll notice we have a mixer section over here, and the dynamics is actually a second tab in the velocity section. So in this case, the only dynamics control is the expression, as the actual dynamic layers of the harp are just controlled by velocity. Okay, that's been a quick introduction and overview of Rhapsody. I hope you found it interesting, and please get in touch if you have any questions. You can find Rhapsody at librawave.com/Rhapsody. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a great rest of your day.